What's going on, everybody? So a couple of weeks ago, I posted a YouTube video about what really matters in terms of maximizing your training progress. And in it, I mentioned a concept that I call mental engagement. Now, this is a concept that I've long thought about, but I hadn't really heard that term, mental engagement or to be mentally engaged, until my most recent coach, Will Berkman, used it once. And it really stuck out to me because it was a concept that I've known about for a while and I've thought about long before, but I hadn't heard anyone really verbalize it or give it a name. So that's what we're going to talk about today. It is this concept of mental engagement. So firstly, what is it? What does it mean? Being mentally engaged means being present and being conscious and being thoughtful about the training that you're doing, and um, actually being a student of the game, being someone that is concentrating, that is thinking about the training, that is, as the name suggests, being engaged mentally. I remember when I first went to my first World Championships in 2013. And one of the things that I noticed when I was speaking to some of these high level lifters and high level coaches was how methodical and how meticulous a lot of them were with their training. A lot of people were really, super focused when they're training. And I'm not talking about super focused in the sense of like super serious face with, loud music in their ears, although there were a number of people doing that as well. I'm talking a lot of people just seemed very, I don't know, almost like they were meditating. They were in this trance or in this state. And I noticed this in the warm up room, and I noticed this talking to people in the warm up room. I mean, as in the training hall. We were using the warm up room as a training hall as well. And I noticed this even just talking to other lifters. And this has been something that I noticed in myself and in a lot of the other lifters that I've kind of encountered, and those that have achieved good level. And one of the things I noticed, I suppose, is that these people were mentally engaged. They were concentrating. They were thinking about their training, and it's often something that a lot of lifters are missing. I've coached face to face for the last 5.5, 6 years, strictly powerlifters, and you get a broad range of people that come through our doors. Some of them are a bit more serious, and some of them are a little bit more casual in their training. But regardless, those who I suppose, engage with their training in a little bit more of a conscious way are the ones that I see progressing better. And is that exactly due to this one concept? Well, I wouldn't say so. I would say it's because the people that are progressing better tend to also do other things well as well. But it's definitely one thing that I think helps and I think should be noted. So, with all that out of the way, the question then goes, well, how can we do it? How can we become better mentally engaged? And how can we use this concept to maximize the training that we're already doing? This isn't about improving your training program. This isn't about improving your technique. It's about improving how you go about the training that you're already doing. So I have 5 pointers for you that you can start to utilize straight away. There's no learning curve for these things. You can start to implement them from your very next session after you watch this video. And hopefully you will see good results in terms of how you feel like your technique improves and how your strength improves. Okay, the first point is taking notes. I know a handful of lifters that like to take notes, physical notes, not just on a spreadsheet, not just on an app, but I'm talking pen and paper. I don't know what it is, but I think having a pen and paper, that maybe this reflects my age a little bit, but I think having a pen and paper and making physical notes about your training and asking yourself these things consciously between sets is a really great way to show that you're present in your sessions. Some people will write their training in a notebook and then make notes of their training as they go. Some people write their training on a whiteboard, which is what I like to do. We've got a whiteboard at the gym, and so I'll write my notes there about what I'm doing. Ticking exercises off or ticking sets off as you go. I think that's a really good way to go about doing it. I've had clients in the past who, at the start of the training week, they will, receive their training or take a look at the training, and in a notebook, write down each session that they're going to be doing for that week. Writing down, okay, day 1, squats, 3 sets of 8 at 100. 2 count pause bench press, 5 sets of 3 at whatever, and they write down all their training mapped out on the notes. And so when they go into the gym, they bring their notebook in, they bring a pen, and they tick things off. They make notes, RPEs, weights used, whatever it is. I think it's a really good thing that you can start implementing straight away that can really help you kind of think about your training and be more engaged. Okay, the second one is recording your sets, videoing your sets, but also watching them back in between sets and even in between sessions. I think this is the number one thing that really helped me when I was much more competitive. was recording all my sets. I was obsessive. I used to have this huge library where every single set I ever did, I'm not just talking about every set, every working set. I'm talking every set. Every time I touched a barbell, I recorded a set and I had it all stored in a file. I wish I still had that. I don't even know what I've done with it. But I used to record every set, warm up sets, accessories, everything. And before bed, I would obsessively watch back through my training sets. I would watch back, nitpicking all the technique and all the things that I was noticing and that I thought I could be improving. Now, you don't need to go to such extremes. You don't need to record every single set like I'm describing. You don't need to watch back all your training videos, before you go to bed every night. But I think some level of self-review through video is really, really useful. We live in a day and age where practically everyone in the Western world, if you're watching this video, you probably have access to a smartphone or some sort of recording device. So use that to your advantage. Video your sets, even your warm-up sets, and watch back. Is my depth good? Are my pauses legit? Am I locking out properly? Am I not hitching it? Are my elbows in the right spot? Is my posture as the way I would like it to be? Am I, taking my time as much as I would expect? Asking yourself these questions between sets, nitpicking the details, is a really great way to show that you're present and to think about your training in a much more deeper level. Okay, the next point kind of actually ties back to these last two, and that is about visualization. That is actively visualizing your training. Visualization has two parts. One is visualizing success. So, picturing yourself being successful, picturing yourself achieving a lift, hitting that deadlift, winning the competition, whatever it might be. But also, I think a really important part of visualization is visualizing the feeling. And I don't mean visualization just with your eyes, but I mean like it should almost be like sensory preparation. You should be thinking about how it's going to feel. What's it going to smell like? What parts of your body are going to be touching the bar? Where are your feet going to be? How's your stacking, your ribs, your back going to feel like? All these kind of things go a really long way into showing that you're mentally engaged. You can do visualization pre-set, so just before your set, for a minute before your set, thinking about it. Or you can do visualization pre-session, and that's something that I used to do all the time. I used to be at work thinking, okay, tonight I'm deadlifting 250 for two. Okay, my warm-up's going to be like this, and I'm going to feel like this. I'm going to use that platform at the gym because I prefer that platform, and I'm going to load the plates like this. Yep. Okay, I'm going to use four reds, and I'm going to grab the bar like this. Being really thoughtful and thinking about your training before the session, I think is really helpful, as well as preset. So both pre-session and preset. I would recommend doing both. Seems like there's no harm. But visualization is a very powerful tool if you want to, really set yourself up for the best opportunity to take advantage of the training that you're already doing. Okay, next one is asking questions. If you're fortunate enough to train in an environment with your coach or with fellow training partners, other people, other powerlifters, other strength trainees, talk, ask questions, brainstorm, ask for review, ask for feedback. Am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? Are my pauses legit? Do you think I should go wider with my grip? Do you think I should go wider with my stance? Whatever it might be, asking these kinds of questions. Do you think this would be better? Is my butt on the bench? Blah, blah, blah. Asking these questions, having conversations, getting direct feedback is a really, really useful way. Kind of similar to the recording yourself, but obviously in a more interpersonal kind of way. But these kinds of interactions are really helpful and really can really, I guess, help you think about your training and engage in the training that you're already doing. Okay, last one is noticing. The ability to notice. This is a really important aspect. I think that separates like really, really good lifters, or at least lifters who are really in tune with the bodies, and those who aren't. Your ability to notice, having a great attention to detail. Again, this is something that I think that I was really good at, and I am really good at as a lifter, was an ability to notice. I have lifters who are pretty good, like are by all means good lifters, 400 dots lifters, 350 to 400 dots lifters who don't even notice which bar they're using. After a session, I'll be like, which bar did you use? They wouldn't even know if it was a Rogue or a Linko bar. To me, I find that ridiculous. Like, I just can't help but notice. I'm so like, maybe I'm a bit obsessive. But it's not just that. It's also noticing how your body's moving, how your body's feeling. Again, the knurling, where the bars in your fingers, kind of like the visualization thing, but in real time, like noticing your balance, noticing your technique without having to watch it back in the video. Did you notice that your chest fell forward in that squat? Do you notice that the pause was probably a bit not as long as you would have liked? Did you notice that the bar slowed down before it hit your chest? whatever it might be, you've got to notice, and you've got to notice those feelings, and you've got to be in tune with your body and in tune with the senses that um, that are taking in the sets as they're happening. So to summarize, 5 key ways that you can better mentally engage with your training: taking notes, watching videos, visualizing pre-training and pre-set, asking questions, and noticing the detail. I, I don't want to say I guarantee, but I almost guarantee that if you start to engage in your training a little bit more, if you start to apply some of these principles or ideas that I've just spoken about, you will start to see improvements. I think, firstly, in technique. That's like the number one thing that's going to improve is your technique, because you're actually actively thinking about your movements, but also your strength, your execution, your consistency. All those things are going to improve if you start to think about your training a little bit more, and if you start to be a little bit more deliberate in the way that you go about doing your training, and you can start to take advantage of the training that you're already doing with very little cost, very little time cost. Other than maybe reviewing your training before training, maybe other than taking those notes, it doesn't really cost you much time. You're already going to the gym 3, 4, 5 times. You're already spending 6, 8, 10 hours per week in the gym. So an extra 10 minutes writing your training down before the start of the week, or visualizing, is a very useful use of your time, and you'll be making better use of the time that you're already spending in the gym. So that's it from me. I hope this was helpful, and I'll talk to you next time.